Ruben had a bit of an injury at work today.
All of these wires right here, and then you got all these wires right here. Yeah, which ones are which?
It's a little windy today.
We're two hitchhikers. We met while hiking Mount Baldy with mutual friends, wasted no time, got engaged on a frozen alpine lake, got hitched, and have been adventuring together since. We're embarking on a new adventure of living big in a tiny home. Let's see how this goes.
Adventure awaits.
All right, so in today's adventure, I have all of these lights that only work brake, turn signal, and reverse, but they do not power on the running lights. So running lights are these right here, and they all basically connect to random things like this power box right here. This power box has an issue. You see, I found that wire that is tied to the system, but when I was able to isolate this, it didn't fix my problem. I'm like, what else is going on? So then, join me here. Under here, all of these wires right here, and then you got all these wires right here. Yeah, which ones are which? I really don't know. I had to basically crawl the entire length, keeping as close to track as I possibly could with the wiring. And then I found this connection right here. So then I opened this connection, it's perfectly fine, but I do not have any power coming to this. I'm like, oh no, okay, so I don't have any power coming to here. And this is the harness that goes to the front lights. And this is the harness that goes to the back lights. I'm like, all right, where else does it go? Well, it goes into here. So then I'm like, all right, where does that go, right? Where does that go? Oh, maybe I have a bad loose wire in the batteries? No. Hooked up my scan tool to it, and my scan tool saying, hey man, it's turning on. The switch is working, the fuse is working, the relay's working. What's wrong with you, man? Everything's working. I'm like, okay. The computer thinks everything's fine. The dash thinks everything's fine because the dash also tells you when your lights are not working right. And then I come here. Now, this connection connects the fuse block to the rest of the truck. And what I found, this connection right here that I have in my hand, as soon as I disconnected it, I smelled something burning. I'm like, oh no. You see that black dot? But it has a little wire hanging through it. Let's see. There we go. There we go. There we go. See? You see a wire, but it has a black little circle around it. Guess what? That is a burnt contact. That is the wire that feeds this entire truck for power for its running lights. And what happened is it got so hot that it backed itself out. And it's not connecting into the connector. Now, to fix this, I have to freaking tear that whole thing. I have to do this. I have to take this whole thing apart just so I can get to the connector, fix the pin, and then get it to where it connects into that. This is what I do. It's really hard. The saga continues. I'm holding voltage right here. I have all this torn apart because what was happening, these lights are working now, but I fixed the wire, but it still wasn't turning on. I go back to this madness and there is no power getting to this. And there is no power getting to these wires right here that are supposed to go to this light setup right here, which explains all these wonderful wires just hanging down. Now, I go back and forth, trying to figure out what's going on. Where is the in-between? I finally found it. This right here is the main harness bulkhead for power and ground for the trailers. These big connections are for all the heavy wires that go to the back that need to do heavy wire stuff. And then this connection right here does all the small little wire stuff. I have this disconnected, but when I connect this goes that way to the end. And that is what is causing the short, because as soon as I disconnected this, all of the lights in the front work. And I'm no longer shorting out this side, especially this connector. So I'm looking at 12.68 volts, but yeah, more needles. So in conclusion, I was able to figure out the short, and after fixing the pin in the front, now I have good power. And now that I was able to run the wires all the way down to here and make sure everything's good, I made the executive decision of cutting these wires off, because the short was in here, in this entire bank. What a lot of people tend to do, or mechanics tend to do, is they tend to just fix the issue that they are dealing with and not fix the whole issue that they're facing. So what they do is they put butt connectors, and they're like, okay, just put a butt connector on it. Okay, well, just put another butt connector on it. Oh, just put another butt connector on it. Oh, and another, and another. And the thing is that they don't do a good quality job, because what happens is they put holes in things. Water gets in them and it shorts them out. One of the main reasons why I'm replacing all these wires is because they're rubbed down to the wire. So yeah, sure, I put a butt connector here, but then I gotta put a butt connector over here because these wires are broken right there. So what I'm doing is I'm building a brand new wiring harness for this entire thing, so that it basically just goes down the road and doesn't need a butt connector.
Windy all night. We had on average about 45 mile an hour winds with 50 mile an hour gusts is what the weather app said. Today it's similar, but it's saying our gusts are supposed to get up to 70 miles an hour. I'm not sure if I have felt that while being inside the house before, so this should be fun. It is definitely indoor project day. I'm gonna try making marmalade. I've done other kinds of jams before, but I have some tangerines or clementines or something that are a little past yummy eating stage. They're overripe, so good day to make some sweet stuff.
As I was taking Ray out for an evening walk before the weather turned bad again, I noticed some fires up in the local mountains, and at first it completely freaked me out, as you can imagine. But it turns out these were just prescribed burns, which can still be dangerous, but at least the weather is wet. It made for a bit of an eerie evening as the full moon was rising.
Well, you probably can't see my face, but Ruben had a bit of an injury at work today, and he's got like a puncture hole in his wrist. He's okay, but I am coming out here to get some plantain, which most people consider a weed, but it's actually an antiseptic. So he is cleaning up, and I'm going to make him a poultice.
Plantain, not to be confused with the banana family, is of the Plantago genus and has many species under its umbrella, but is overall referred to as just plantain. It can treat all kinds of ailments. Now, there are many herbs with medicinal uses, and my mom swears by turmeric, especially for cuts, but these help to promote healing and health without chemicals or lab-synthesized ick unknowns.
So this is actually plantain here, as is this. When you let it grow, this is actually, if you go get psyllium husk at the store for fiber, that's what this is. It's the seed of the plantain. So the whole thing is medicinal, but I need the green stuff.
Of course, this does not replace measures which should be taken in a serious medical emergency, which need professional attention. We've done a lot of research and know when something is dire. In this case, he's good with clean wound care. The body is a miracle if you give it time to heal properly.
So to make a poultice, you have to chew it. I mean, I could mush it up, but there's plenty of chili and oil and garlic in my little mano y metate, so I'm going to be chewing this. I don't think I need to show you how you chew it. Tastes like wheatgrass. So plantain is an anti-inflammatory, antiviral, antibacterial, and it is an expectorant if you ingest it. So if you have a cold, plantain is actually good because it gets out whatever viruses you've got going on in your body. Anyway, this is not going to be ingested by me. It's going on Ruben's wound after we flush it out. I have a syringe that I am soaking right now in boiling water that we're going to use to flush out his wound.
That is just like a dimple in your wrist. That's terrible. It's bubbling up. Do you feel it?
Yeah.
Do I need to ask?
I don't know, do you?
Look at that. It looks like it's clearing up. All the bubbles are covering the hole. Oh, babe. Okay, I hope you don't mind this poultice. We're just packing it right on there. And I just need to wrap it up and then you'll be good.
Yep, just the one piece, that's it.
Tape. Hold it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it's not bleeding anymore. Solid.
So the weather has been quite chilly and very wet, and we're not complaining about the rain because we definitely need it. But the combination of the rain and then the temperatures dropping at night, I think this morning we were down to 20 degrees. We haven't had snow yet. Every time it rains, it's just not below freezing. But regardless, we're getting plenty of rain. It just hasn't warmed up here, so it's felt very cold and everything is wet. So getting things done has been a little bit of a challenge. Not impossible, but it's not the most comfortable thing. So we have a little bit of a break today in the weather. It is overcast and we're expecting another storm coming in probably tomorrow, but we're getting some things done around here. So I'm working in the old garden bed. I am just breaking up the soil and putting down some wood chips and some straw. And also right now I'm doing a little bit of a layer of ash. So just trying to get it all prepped up and mimic nature. That way it can just sit here and break down over the winter time. I think it's frozen at the bottom. There. I think this bucket's had it. Froze a few too many times.
Do you know where the insulation wrap is? Did we take it back?
I think we took it back.
Okay.
Because we were expecting a ton of wind and rain. So this is ash from our wood burning stove, and we are sure that there's nothing in here but clean wood. No trash or no weird cardboard with ink on it or anything like that. So hopefully this is some good breaking down, along with the wood chips, sawdust, straw, and all the organic matter that's already underneath. So I guess I should add the reason why we're adding the ash from our wood stove here into our garden bed area is because our natural soil is actually deficient in potash and nitrogen. We actually are okay as far as the acidity level. We're pretty neutral, and we have a decent amount of potassium, but the wood ash helps to amend that potash deficiency. And yeah, it's a slow process. So if we let it kind of overwinter and do its thing and break down, hopefully by the time spring comes around, that will help to offset that. And then what we also do, we have our fire pit over there. So with all the leftover bones from the meat that we eat, I will make bone broth. But then what's left over from that, we actually burn in the fire pit. And those bones, once they break down, that will also add to, it's like instead of buying bone meal, right? We're taking those bones and then adding them to this soil here. So I was already doing that to the garden beds up there, but now we need to amend these two plots. So I already have some hairy vetch growing here. Those are a nitrogen fixer. Hopefully those will outpace whatever grasses begin growing in the springtime. But it's all a learning process. Either way, it's a lot of hard work, but it's fun. And we are expecting snow possibly tomorrow. I don't know if you can see the mountain over there, but I think the snow is down to possibly the 4,000 foot level, if not lower. And the forecast, the app keeps changing its mind. So we don't know if we're gonna get snow or not, but hopefully that helps, because if the snow can pack this in, it can just get that breakdown going that much quicker. So here's hoping. We're doing our best. How's your wrist? Give us an update.
It is healed. That little hole right there was deep enough for you to actually see my tendon when I did this.
I didn't capture that close up when we patched you up the other night because it looked kind of gross.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. But thankfully I had my protective gear that was strong enough to keep the blade away from my wrist as much as it needed to.
The injury was from a cutoff wheel, which actually cut through 3 layers of clothing and his watch strap. Thankfully, he was wearing it all, or this could have been really, really bad.
It was basically just a tool that can always hurt you, and in this case, it did. So, thankfully, I'm safe, and I'm healed.
We're also taking it easy this weekend. No hard labor for Ruben.
That's a lie.
So as you can see, we're over here by the solar panels. Ruben is checking things out because we have been without sun for, it was 5, today is day 5, right? And as you can see, the sun is a super bright highlight. Anyway, the sun is there behind the clouds.
So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure this thing is still standing. We get roughly gusts up to 70 miles an hour. And the last 3 days, we had some pretty gnarly wind. So I'm just making sure that the panels are still securely tied down, because that would really suck to have a 70 mile an hour gust just throw these panels out into the yard. And yeah, being without power sucks. So because of all the weather that we received, the temperature and the batteries, they got down to about 53%. That was the lowest we got with only, I forget, it was 5 days. of just cloudy days, rain throughout the entire day. And yeah, these panels were still able to soak up enough juice during the week and during the day to keep us above at least 50%, which is great. And today we've had a total of what, all day? It was a full day of sun.
Hazy sun like this.
And we were able to charge to 100% in what, 3 hours? So
yeah. Now, what would have happened if we dipped down to 49%?
If we would have dipped down to 49%, I would have had to have connected our generator and basically brought everything back up to 100%. But my experimentation of making sure that we have at least 3 days of no sun and still have our solar system keep up worked out. So yeah, here's to a good setup.
All of that stress it paid off, love.
Jeez, it does. All right, everything looks good. Now we're gonna go check on the batteries and go from there. Right now we're just checking the voltages of the batteries, the ohms of resistance to make sure that everything is close. Cell number 11, which is this guy right here.
That's always the fickle one.
Yeah, we're at 0.2 ohms, which is very low actually. Voltage is equal to everybody else at 0.286, and the other ones are 2.85. So we're in the realm of everything being cool, but the resistance of the battery is what makes them either happy or really sad. And so that is something I'm gonna definitely have to.
And you're pointing to cell 11 right now.
Yeah, this is cell 11. Yeah, scary, but manageable. We have extra batteries to put in here if I need to switch them out. But so far, batteries are at 97%, and with the sun right now, we're barely getting 736 watts. And because we have the heater on inside of here, I want to make sure that's working. That's roughly running at 1300 watts. So,
but you only have a heater on in here for a test to make sure that the mini split functions. We haven't had to turn it on yet.
No, not at all.
So even though we dipped down to 20, it was still what, like 55 degrees in here?
There we go, off. And yeah, the coldest it ever got in the shed was 59 degrees.
No, it was 55 this morning.
Oh, it was 55
It was
in here?
20 degrees outside when I got up. It was like 5:30.
Oh.
And it was 55 in here.
Well, there you go. But inside the shed right now, the batteries are at 11.5 degrees Celsius. So that puts us at 70.
I do not do that conversion well.
Yeah, takes us at about 70. And right now, the batteries are now getting charged at 700 watts, and the batteries are at 97%. And with this charging the way that it is, the batteries will be at 100% in 1 hour. So, yeah, hooray, these things work. And hopefully this winter, I get to clean this up, because I would like for this to look nicer than it is, because
Your friends tease you about it.
I know.
Spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah, spaghetti at the wall, man.
Well, family, that wraps up this week's update. The app is now saying no snow, but 80-mile-per-hour gusts are likely. So, all things considered, we'll see what we get done around here this week. Thank you for following along on our tiny homestead adventure. Give us a like or let us know what you thought in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
So we have a little bit of break. Did I say that right?